Hello, this is Thomas with Digital Technologies, and this is going to be part 2 of the Access Companion training. So where we last left off is we were just getting logged in. So once we log in and once we have added you as a user to the site created with your cameras on it, then you're going to see all of your cameras in here. You can actually change the layout of how your cameras look in the upper right-hand corner with this little guide. I've got 3 cameras on site, one of which is down, so it shows disconnected, 2 of which are still working. I can actually come in here and change how I look at my cameras just by moving this grid. So if I've got a lot of cameras and I want to see them all in small time, I can do 6x4 grid. If I only want to look at 1 or 2 at a time because I want to see them bigger, then I can do a 1 on top, 1 on bottom grid, and hit my check mark. Then I can swipe back and forth, page to page, to see my cameras. In this case, I'm just going to go back to looking at the 3 cameras. So if we click on any individual camera, we actually can open it up and we can start doing stuff to it. So let's take a look at the parking lot. And you'll notice that right now I'm in playback mode, so I'm actually going to hit in the upper right-hand corner switches between this reel, which is footage, and this camera, which is not. You'll notice that if I click on the reel, I actually have like a playback bar down here, so I know I'm looking at recordings. If I click back onto the image, sometimes I lose my my top and bottom screen goes away. I can just click on the image or let whatever's happening stop happening, and my transport controls come back. So I'm going to hit the little computer in the upper right-hand corner to go back to live view. Now you'll notice in live view that down in the bottom I've got a little HQ, and I'm going to uncheck that. And I can actually zoom in, and this is not a mechanical zoom. This is just kind of a silly putty stretch of my image. I'm not actually changing my camera. My camera's not going to record that if I leave it there and exit out of my app. I'm just stretching the image that I get, and that's why the quality is worse the more I zoom in. So I'm going to zoom all the way back out, and I can actually hit that HQ in the bottom right-hand corner to enable high quality. Now if I zoom in, you'll notice that the quality is significantly better because we changed from a low-quality stream to a high-quality stream. Now, do note that if you're using high quality and you are either in an area with bad Wi-Fi or bad LTE cell phone signal, that can eat up a lot of bandwidth. So if you're on a limited amount of gigs for any reason in today's age, or you're in an area that doesn't have very good Wi-Fi, this might make it really slow. This might make the app crash out because you're not getting the bandwidth you need to see the image as big as it really is. So we can turn that HQ off if we're in an area with just bad connection, or alternatively, if where all of our camera equipment is out in the middle of a field somewhere that just gets a trickle of internet, you can't upload as high quality of an image. Therefore, if you try to look at a high quality of an image, it's going to be really slow. So you can turn HQ off. Now, down in the bottom, I've actually got a mute, unmute, which I'm not going to press because it messes up my recording. But if you unmute that, you can actually hear audio if there's audio, or mute audio if your particular camera has audio. And then just on the bottom left side of the screen, if you see something happening, like right now, I've got a FedEx truck actually arriving, I can actually hit the snapshot and I can take a snapshot of that. Now up in the upper right-hand corner, I have my playback, which gives me my bar. My bar has both blue and red, so the red is going to be motion ticks and the blue is going to be continuous. Now by default, to use less card and have smaller, less expensive cards to store the data on for each camera, we typically only do motion, so that we only capture in motion, not 24/7. So you won't see the blue line in a lot of instances. But we can actually use our calendar, which is the second image on the bottom. Looks like a little calendar. And I can go and I can choose a date. Right now, I actually have a much bigger card with continuous storage, so I can go back as far as April 13th, 14th, 15th, and I can actually look at a time there. But I'm going to choose April 30th at approximately 8:45 in the AM, and then I'm just going to touch off the screen, and it's going to jump to that point in time when I start moving my mouse around. So at 8:45, I can come in here and I can see the continuous footage as well as I can see the footage in red that is motion. So I can actually go into and I can actually use my fingers to pinch back and forth and zoom in on my scrubber bar and get a better view of something that's happening at a specific point in time. I can then hit play and play it back. And I can hit the next and back to jump to the beginning of our motion tick and the next motion tick. Sometimes that can be just a little jumpy, but it is a free app, so we're not going to get too technical with it. And as I hit the next, it'll actually jump to the next event. There we go. So I can actually kind of scrub through my events and see what's going on at a specific point in time to kind of jump in between them. Same thing here. I can actually take a snapshot on the left, and I can go to high quality on the right to change my quality. And you can see that as I turn that on and off, I get a little fuzzy and I get a little clearer. And then same pinch and zoom concept here. I can actually pinch and zoom in, and I can take a closer look after I've paused some footage. Take a snapshot of what I've got there, and it'll go right to my phone's camera. So that's pretty much the basic functionalities. Let's go ahead and hit the live view. Now you'll notice that even though I was zoomed in, that didn't physically change my camera. I was just zooming the image that we're looking at. So whenever I jump back and forth between live, it's going to go to my fully not stretched image. I'm going to go ahead and hit the X in the upper left, and then I can do the same thing down in my shop. Single click him to open him. I can go up to the top and I can hit my reel. I can choose a date that I want to go back and see what was happening, the 14th at 9:20 a.m. And this particular one is not continuous recording, therefore you can see that I actually have my check marks, and I can jump between each and every one of my check marks. And because I don't have the continuous footage, you'll notice that the jumping from check mark to check mark does work a little better. So I can play back something that happens here, and we can zoom in and see what it's capturing. And the motion is capturing one of our installers back at his desk grabbing some equipment. So then I can click and I can pause my recording, and in the upper right I can go back to live view, and in the upper left I can go ahead and close out. So that basically does it for all of the basic features, and then in our third video we will go over some of the more user-specific features as well. So thank you very much, and if you have any questions, please give us a call at Digital.